Okay, we're back in session, and I believe we're ready for you, Clay.
Ready for me, huh? All right. Well, the reason I am here is it was a request of Nicole that EMS start a 501c3 auxiliary to where EMS or that auxiliary would be in charge of the memorial money instead of it being in the general account. And it's taken us a while to get everything done, get the 50C3 done, get bylaws and everything set up. And now we're to the point, and with an account set up at Western, that we're ready to.
And these are
ask
memorial
for it.
funds only?
Yes. Yes. So.
And who decides how that money's spent?
We set it up as we have the 3 officers can, if you have approval of 2 officers, if it's, and don't quote me on the exact amounts, but it's in the range of, if it's like under $200, if you get a hold of 2 people and say, we want to go buy sandwiches and take them out to the firemen at a fire, we can do it, and we can do it right now. If it's above that, we need to have, I think, at least 5, up to the point of $500, and I believe at $500, we have to let everyone that's on the EMS auxiliary, let everyone know, sit down, have a meeting before we spend that kind of money.
How many members do you have on your?
We haven't reached out and invited any of the retired EMTs yet, so it will be the current roster. If you're a current EMT, you're automatically invited onto the auxiliary. We're wanting to have prior EMTs, as well as we're talking about possibly adding drivers. I mean, anybody that's got a vested interest in EMS. Obviously, our medical director, she's on there. The one thing that we did do, so we didn't want it to be put pressure onto them. The acting administrator of EMS is a member, but not a voting member. So anytime the acting administrator does not count as one vote in any of this checks and balances. We just thought it was a good thing to throw in, and Reed was thankful that we thought of leaving him out of whatever we're trying to decide. So
We were looking for a little bit more transparency with this money. Mm-hmm. And we wanted a line item instead of coming out of county general or anyplace else, just have a line item where that money could be tracked a lot easier and more apparent what's being spent for, that type of thing.
And there are going to be times that there's going to be a check wrote for an ambulance bill, and then there will be a check wrote from the family for a memorial that's going to be coming in at the same time. I mean, things like that happen. If somebody had an ambulance ride, then dies, and then we have the memorial. We built a set of checks and balances that are saying that we want to ensure that we can go back and look at every check, and we're going to sign off on any memorial money that says, yes, we feel this check was for memorial and not for the bill. Because a lot of them are probably going to end up, they get hand delivered up to the EMS building, they get mailed to EMS, and we want to make sure, and if there's a question, we will be calling the family back.
Well,
you know.
One thing that I think we'd like to see is where the money's being spent.
Okay.
You know, whatever, whether it be for Red Cross style aid to firemen or whatever, or equipment or training. We'd love to see what it actually spent.
Yeah, and the thing is, we're hoping, we don't really have the money to do a lot of help with this class since we're going all the way to Colby to help pay for gas. I mean, that would deplete the entire account. But we're hoping to also help, I mean, like scholarship style for people that are trying to go to class or trying to
Well, I think it'd be really
advance their license or whatever.
beneficial to all of us, and plus the donors, whoever donate this money would, I'm sure, would love to see that it went for something good. So,
And if, like I say, if we could set it up and, I mean, come in and do a yearly report
That's
of
where
this
I
year
was
this year we've spent so much helping people get their license, we've spent so much, you know, getting this or that for the fire department or whatever, and it's,
I think you're on the right track, and if you, like, go through the newspaper and show where you spent money to buy some equipment with memorial money,
right,
people might be more apt to donate money.
Right.
Or make a
Right.
memorial
Yeah.
to the EMS.
yeah,
well, it's a positive thing all the way
It
around.
is.
People would just love, though, to be able to say, yeah, our memorial went towards something good.
right.
And
And like I say, and I think that's the direction that I'd like to go. And I guess I didn't say, I ended up opening my mouth and I ended up being the president of the
you're it. Okay.
EMS auxiliary. But that's kind of the direction that we're wanting to go, is, like I say, to where we can do some of this stuff for the community and for appreciation of the EMTs and for, I mean, the different things. So
And you're pretty well all set up. You're ready to go?
yes, we actually, yeah, the account's been live for a month, a little more. So I think that we're ready to go forward with this. Until we had the money in there, we really haven't called a big meeting and sat down and had all the things of what we would like to see this in the direction that we'd like it to go. But this is our first meeting and our makeup of the bylaws. That was, you're
I like
right
it.
on the same page, so.
I think we're ready to
What kind of motion do we need?
go. I don't know.
I had Melva text me the current balance in that account is $2,587.19 as of yesterday.
Do we need to transfer that money to?
Yeah, there'll need to be, Dolores will need to set up a transfer, and then
Okay, then we can make the
then you
motion.
can make the motion to move that money.
Okay. And well, I mean, she give it out as a check, or would she want it to go directly to the bank?
I don't know, it'd probably be a check.
Okay.
I'm not positive, but
Okay.
Yeah, so if you'd go ahead and get with Dolores and see about setting up a,
Yeah, if we just do a check and then I can just take it up there, it'd probably be about the easiest of, but,
all right, so we can wait till we get that transfer to make that motion.
I think are you gonna put in the paper like they're gonna have a board,
Probably. I think it'd be worth a story.
a story of some kind, how you're
I
gonna.
don't know that I ever want to be story worthy.
Let people know that this is available where the money's gonna be. You're gonna be letting people know.
And how it's gonna be
And like I
voted
say,
on. I think
it's-
that's important that they're gonna vote on.
and I guess I don't want to come across and saying that the money was never used. That's it's pretty much the same way as the money's been used. It's just going to streamline the ability. But then the reason we made that board was so that it is completely tax deductible, and that we wanted our own set of checks and balances on it. So
Randy, get with you. I think it's worth a little bit of a story.
okay.
Okay.
All right, well, I'll go over and talk with Dolores.
All right, thanks.
Yep.
Thank you for your time.
Yep, thank you.
Do you have anything more, Scott, other than what you had? Is Cody in the building? Do you know?
It's not in the building when he knows he's supposed to be there.
Say he is in the building.
I just talked to him last night. He said he was coming in.
You go this way.
I've had a lot of people ask me, like some of these people we've been incarcerating, are we about ready to go to trial with some of them?
We are actually working through the cases pretty efficiently. Last week we had 14 cases on the docket, and I sat down with Justin Barrett, and we were able to get 4 or 5 taken care of, resolved. Some of the issues that we're running into with the people in jail is that they are probation violations, bond violations, that sort of thing. So we're trying to get those resolved as quickly as we can instead of them just sitting there. We're trying to get them on the docket as soon as we can. But like I said, we're trying to work through those. And I know that you had expressed a concern in regards to the court-appointed attorney fees that are being paid out at a previous meeting. But what I wanted to make sure that everyone understood is, when you have a criminal case and there are court-appointed attorney's fees, unless the case is dismissed, that defendant is reimbursing those fees. So the county is getting that money back on those criminal cases where there is a plea or a diversion or they are found guilty.
It just takes a lot of time for them to.
It just seems like
Restitution's hard to come by from these people. We're kind of waiting on Cody. We have a little bit of a response from the article in this week's paper about the Fair Board meeting and the alcohol at the.
Yes.
Anyway, I'll let Cody start when he gets here. He's on his way.
Okay, that's good. That was what was at the Fair Board meeting.
A little bit misleading. Some of the comments were in reference to past commissioners, not this Board of Commission. We were extremely clear on our position with alcohol down there, without any question. I think we're being taken advantage of a little bit here. So Cody has a little bit of a prepared statement he wants to start with.
Glad to clear.
I was thoroughly convinced we were clear. Did you read the article?
I haven't seen it yet.
So you have a statement of some kind that you'd like to make?
Not me, Cody.
I know you were blamed for something.
I was gonna update you on the transportation van. We're seeing really good
Response to
rides
it?
on that. There's 2 to 3 days a week, we could almost use another van.
Wow.
So and there's 1 or 2 days a week where there's not a lot going on, but people are really utilizing it.
Good.
It'd be good if you had some kind of where it's come from to now, how it's doing, and I think that'd be great. List your drivers again. Mandy.
And I don't want 2 vans. But
Okay.
there's just some days.
Have you seen any out of county trips, or most of them just here in the city?
Mostly just here.
You know, I was at a funeral not too long ago, and there was a bunch of people that had come to the funeral on the van.
It's a good idea.
Letting those people, they have a way to go to Christmas. It's hard.
Yeah, we've had a few people go to Goodland, and then there's some ladies that go over to McDonald to the
Good.
whatever.
They ain't gonna go over there now. They got a little sidewalk and got a curb cut for the senior center over there now. Or did yesterday.
It's not what happened.
I agree. Morning, Cody.
How you know?
Good.
Good. You ready for me?
Excuse me?
Are you ready for me?
Yes, sir.
And just sit down like I own the place.
You're the man with a gun.
But my paycheck's laying up here somewhere, and you guys need to sign it. No, it's,
We started the discussion just a little bit about the article in the newspaper
Yes.
reference of Fair Board.
yes.
I felt, and after some discussion with you, that some of this was misleading, the information.
Yes, I think I had a conversation with Troy about alcohol at the fairgrounds, and this conversation took place probably midway through the fair of this year, talking about alcohol at the fairgrounds. One thing I read the article, and one thing that struck in my mind is, as we discussed it, I did let my frustration go on different committees, different boards and stuff involved out there. The discussion was based off of past practices and not this year's current fair, and doesn't include the current Board of Commissioners, which have made their directive of alcohol very clear at a previous meeting. So I would like that, as that kind of being misunderstood in the paper, that my comments were more to deal with past fairs than this current fair of 2017 and the current board and some of the current members of the fair board. But it does highlight a problem we've always had in the past of we'd say alcohol's not allowed, and then I would have a fair board member or somebody else out there, it's on a committee, or even in the past some members of the Board of Commission, County Commission, come up to me and say, well, I did tell them that they could have beer at this location. And that's what that conversation was about, was some of the events that happened over the years and how the alcohol at the fair had been approached in the past. But I do stand behind what Troy said. You guys have made your decision. You made it clear. And I'm sure that decision will be put back on your guys' plate again this year, as it is almost every year. When you guys make that decision, I would like to have a meeting with the Fair Board and make plans of how we're going to cooperate to make this what you guys have decided it to be, whatever that is. Because, when you say, well, we should check coolers coming into the pits for the Derby, you have to have the support of the Fair Board to do that. I've been told in the past, I want to make that very clear this time, in the past, by some of the Fair Board members, if we go check coolers, people won't come, we won't fill the grandstand, and we won't sell tickets, and we won't make any money. And that seems to be, a fear among them. So, I have to have the support. We have to support each other. Your decision has to be supported by the Fair Board, and I need their support to do enforcement, large-scale enforcement out there. Obviously, taking care of a drunk, we go do that. We don't need support. It helps because a lot of times the Fair Board, this year, the Fair Board was the one that came to us on several different occasions to go eject somebody because of intoxication. So they were very supportive in that manner. And that's what I'm trying to say. It takes that working together as a team if you're going to do it. But like I said, I think those comments, they came from a conversation I did have with Troy, and it was at the beginning, midway of fair, and it was talking about past fairs and the problems we've had at past fairs. Again, nothing to do with the current board or the
I want
current
to make
fair.
it clear that this board of commission made that decision, and I don't believe there was any decision about alcohol at the fair. Correct.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think we could have been any clearer on our position.
Yeah. And I agree with Terry. Like I said, I think the context of the conversation was talking about past fairs and how we could go by and enforce the decision that was clear by this board of commission. And that's, in my conversation, I was saying, I will enforce the rules, but I need support. And, one of the worst things that's happened to me in the past is you go enforce the rules and they point a finger at a fair board member or a board of commissioner member and say, well, he told me I could do this. And that's always made the rules hard to enforce in the past. I do not foresee that being a problem with this current board.
Especially when we have a policy in place
Yeah.
now that
Yeah.
forbids
Yeah.
alcohol from being on
And,
county property.
last year,
It's probably state law, isn't it?
yeah, unless you guys allow it, it's not allowed. It's kind of a
We
set
reserve the
thing.
right to
Modified.
modify it, but we chose not to do that. And we're pretty firm in that
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
stance. I mean, we're not wavering at all
Yeah.
here.
But when you say modify, it means like a beer garden
Right.
So, and
in an area.
yeah, and that's the other thing. People come talk to me. I explain to them it's not my decision whether there's alcohol out there or not. It's strictly you three gentlemen's decision to make whether you allow alcohol out there or not. This year, if you just want to talk and review, we had some alcohol-related events. They were all addressed. We ejected some people. We sent some people home with families so they weren't driving, to kick them out. One of the hardest things that we had, though, was after the Derby, as you guys are aware, somehow overtime has become a tradition to hang out in the pits for hours after the Derby. The Fair Board expressed that they wanted that to end, and they wanted us to clean the pits out fairly soon, give people, appropriate amount of time to load their cars, get things loaded up and get out of there. We went back and attempted to clear the pits. We got several people to leave at, as quick as they could. It seemed like for the next hour and a half, it was like trying to herd chickens, getting them out of there. We'd work on a group of people to get them out of there. They were segregated into large groups. We'd get one group to move. We'd get dispatched back to the fairgrounds for something, a lost child or something. We'd come back, nobody else had moved. So then we'd work on another large group of people. We'd finally get them out of there with the threat of, tickets, things like that. We'd get them moved out. We'd have to go take care of another issue, come back, nobody else would move. It took us an hour and a half of going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth to get them out. Like I said, if we have a meeting with the Fair Board, I think things, being written in the rules, that you have 20 minutes, sign out there. We did have a verbal argument with a Fair Board member and a person in the crowd when the Fair Board member went over and talked to him and told him that there was no alcohol allowed and that person was getting intoxicated. We had to show up. He was throwing a fit that it wasn't properly signed, that there was no alcohol out there. There's signs out there, several different places. But, it might not hurt to put a bigger sign, a larger sign by the entrance of the pits. Maybe put it on the rules when you print out the rules and give them to people, things like that. Because if you're going to change, anytime you change something that historically has happened, I think you owe it to the people to notify that, hey, things are different. This isn't, we're not doing it the way we did it in 1998. This is different now. Because we did have that argument. I drank here last year. Well, this isn't last year. This is this year. And that's kind of what the argument between the Fair Board member and that person was about, that we had to go in and eject the person. So.
Would it be appropriate to ask for assistance with some of this enforcement?
Yes, it would be. Having the Fair Board help, especially the Derby, night of the Derby. By the time we start at the parade, go through mud volleyball, we're starting at 10 o'clock in the morning. Our day is not ending until 4 o'clock in the morning later. So it's a long day for us. We're expected to be at different things. We're expected to be on the midway. We're expected to help do some security things that deals with the monies that are out there and things like that. It's hard to be in different locations at different times. You have vehicles show up that morning after the parade for the Derby out there. I don't mind working out there, but to have the Fair Board also help check for alcohol when people come in, remind people, the driver's meeting, things like that, would be a great help. Like I said, we can't be everywhere out there all the time from 10 o'clock in the morning till 4 o'clock in the morning.
Well, I do know an outside agency that would, upon a request, send some individuals up here to help you. But I'll leave that decision to you.
Yeah.
If you feel that you need that help.
Well, I would like, before I make that decision, I would like to have a meeting with the Fair Board and see how active they are going to be.
Well, when you have that meeting, one of us would like to attend.
Absolutely. I think you guys would need to be there. So.
Okay. You think of anything, Leslie?
Not right now. I'll be looking into it further.
Okay.
No, but like I said, one of the big things I want to make clear is, that article, I was venting to Troy, talking to Troy about addressing the problem. Troy seems to want to address the problem, and I was talking about past fairs. I was not talking about the current Board of Commissioners. You guys made your directive, and you made it very clear. Nobody on this board caught me out at the fairground and gave me the wink, wink. I know we said this in the meeting, but and those are things that seriously have happened in the past, and that's made enforcement out there very hard. So I do appreciate that from you guys. You guys made a decision, you stuck with it, and I think this year's fair in 2017, we addressed the alcohol at the fairgrounds in a stricter manner than we ever have in the past.
And that would have been no surprise to them, because we indicated that when they came to us, that at least me personally would like to see a stronger enforcement of the rules we already have in place.
Yeah, and like I said, I am sticking by what I said to Troy about the past. In the past, it was very hard because you'd have, the Fair Board has no decision whether there's alcohol out there or not. But it's also hard when you run into a group of people drinking who say, well, this so-and-so on the Fair Board said, as long as we stay over here in the shadow, it was okay. They've had one person that they feel has the authority to give them that permission, give them permission, and now you have a sheriff's deputy threatening to write them a ticket for doing it. It's made it very hard in the past, and that's what my conversation with Troy was about the position we've been put in the past.
Sometime between now and next year's fair, we all need to get together and make this crystal clear.
And I agree. I agree. And, you know, I will get a hold of Troy. I talked to him this morning before I came up here, and obviously by his comments in the paper, he's in agreement that we need to have a meeting about it as well. And I know every year the question's going to be put forth to you guys, it's just, we need to be clear in the enforcement of whatever decision is made.
Okay.
So.
Thank you, Cody,
Yep.
for coming in.
Yeah, you guys have anything else for me, or?
How's your building coming?
Slow. So, very slow. I've got 2 companies that are working on the bid. We're waiting to do, I had to sign some papers maybe 2.5, 3 weeks ago for an asbestos check. We have to check for asbestos.
I was there.
The guy was there? Okay, I have not heard the results yet.
I haven't either, because I just seen him over there and that's.
I know. I was expecting something to happen a little bit faster. We got that one garage door that's open. I know people have been going in there. I think probably this weekend I'm going to go up and board that up somehow, do something.
Loosen our liability.
That's a new police tape across there.
Yeah. That's always stopped people in the past. But I do think we need to cover our liability a little bit. I thought things were going to move faster, but with this KDHE's involvement, it's kind of the bureaucracy of it has slowed it down a little. So, but yeah, I think we need to make it a little bit safer while we're waiting. But like I said, I do have two construction companies that showed up for the bid on the building. I haven't received those back yet. So I'm probably going to be calling next week trying to get that sped up so we have the bids for the building, and then hopefully our asbestos check comes back good. If it doesn't, we'll be going through to the, I don't want to say what organization because I can't remember which of the 3 or 4, but it's a community cleanup grant that we receive monies to help do that with. So it'll be a reimbursement. We'd have to spend the money to get it done, and then we get reimbursed. So I do have plans if they do find asbestos, but me going through the building, I don't know where asbestos would be unless it's on some of that siding.
That's the only thing he checked.
That's the only thing he checked?
That he
Okay.
told me, because he said there wasn't no need to check on the roof.
No, I didn't
There
see
wasn't
any.
much of a roof lapse.
No, and there's no insulation that's in the walls or anything like that. So hopefully I'll hear back from that guy shortly, and we can proceed.
Okay.
Because I know I'd like to get. I have goals of what I'd like to get done this year, and even though it was warm yesterday, 100 degrees, we're running out of summer. And I'd like to get some of that done. So,
Okay.
anything else?
Thank you, Cody.
Yep.
One more thing. When you're in Bird City, go talk to Jill. She wants to know about the sidewalk and what was it?
Where your
Say
doors
school.
are now.
Yeah.
Where
Okay.
the entrance is going to
Yep.
be and all
Yep.
that.
And I talked to Jill a little bit about that the other day. I don't know when she talked to you, and I told her.
This morning.
Oh, this morning, okay. I told her I wanted to wait until I saw the bids because I gave 2 different specs. One was with the doors facing Bird Avenue, which is the most convenient, but the safer for the safe routes to school is to have one large door on the south and come out the south onto 2nd Street and go through that intersection. I want to see the difference in the prices of doing that, but both bids include, I told the contractors they would have to go to City Hall, Bird City, and find out the specs that sidewalk has to fall underneath for the routes to school, and they'd have to comply with that. So I guess I'm waiting to see what the cost is of having the one large door on the south compared to having the 2 doors on the east. So, 'cause, I mean, it's not like it's a firehouse where we go screaming out of there for a fire, but yet, I'd rather not exit across a route to school. So, unless it makes a huge difference in the price, and then we'll have to put up some safety features and stuff like that. So, I will get with Jill and talk to her.
Which direction is the route to school?
It
South
goes
side or the east side?
the east side. They walk down the long face of the building. It'd be the long side of the building. They'd walk down it, heading to the south, or on the way home to the north. They walk by that building right there. So, like I said, I think the safest thing would be if there's a door on that side, it would be there's going to be a wash area where no vehicles kept. It'd just be in and out for washing. It wouldn't be, there'd be nothing to be coming out of that door in an emergency, is what I'm trying to say. And have one larger door to the south where you're not coming out across that sidewalk that they're having to walk on. Because I know, excuse me, the city of Bird City is very protective of their safe routes to school program and things like that, and they put a lot of stock into it. So I'll be working with them as close as we can. And it does make sense if you do have a bunch of children that walk up and down that street, you know, to make it as safe as possible. So.
Very good.
Okay.
Thank you, Coach.
Don't have anything else? But they're three special children. So, to their parents, children in town. So.
Monday, the gas asbestos inspector was there, and he said it'd probably take a week to 10 days to get the report back.
Okay.
After I get that back, and then I got to send it to KPHE so I can get things rolling. So.
Okay. All right, sounds good. Thank you.
Thought you wasn't coming in.
10 o'clock. They're sealing, so they're going.
What does that cost a mile?
We're gonna wind up doing 3.23 miles that way. We caught 2 spots where we had that new part out there, and then that 3/4 mile that way for 13,800.
So you got how many miles for 13.8? 7.
No, 3.23 and 0.75. And this was a little better quality product. It's rubberized. It also has the
4 miles basically for 13.
real close to it, yeah. And this is a 2-part oil to 1 part water, so it should dry quicker too. So
Where did you put it at?
all the South River Road, and I know we're going to have to come in this fall and do some crack seal, and then we're also doing the Cemetery Road. I mean, if they're going to bring a tanker out, I want the full tanker and utilize it. So
basically 32.50 a mile for seal coat.
okay, that's probably right. Yeah.
Well, what the reason I asked, where they're putting that over at Bird City. It'd be a great time if you was going to make an asphalt road there. Just squirt it with seal coat and then push the rest of it on top and pack it. I'll bet you'd end up with an oil road. That's why they done the Edson Road and they done it the first time.
Okay.
But you can only get about 10 years out of it before you got to start patching it. Are your new graders underpowered?
Oh, not really underpowered. They're a little smaller, but Calvin said it's a lot quieter, and I think he kills it because he don't know that, you know, it's so quiet. You need to
They
speed it
was
up a little
telling me
bit. But
they
it's,
must not have much power, so.
who said that?
That's what Danny was telling me the other day.
Oh,
But he didn't have time to talk, so that was all I got.
oh, okay.
So I figured Ben just there, I'd ask.
Yeah, yeah. Kelly could tell it was less, but I'm going to take some vehicles and a mower up to the Skips auction, the internet auction, get rid of some of them older vehicles, or we got them newer ones. We got things switched out on it. DJ's going to be working the Noxious Weed booth this weekend at the State Fair, and he's requesting he could get mileage reimbursed. He's going to volunteer his time, if that's approved of. So.
I guess so.
All right.
I think they used to in the past,
Yeah.
didn't
Who operates the booth? Whose booth is it?
In the Noxious Weed booth, they try to rotate weed directors, you know, to man this booth
Throughout
down
the 11
throughout
days
the
of the-
whole State Fair. So always difficult getting help to do that. Ed knows a little bit about this. This is solid waste financial insurance. Prior, we used to do this financial insurance for the lifespan that's estimated by the engineers, and then you divided it by the closure cost. Now they're saying that he had misread that. It is a 30-year permit from the time it was implemented, this financial closure thing. So that kind of changes the formula a lot. Last year, we paid $14,500, if I'm not mistaken.
We gotta carry this for 30 years past rather than 20. That's what you're getting at, right? This insurance.
Well, we have to have it monitored for 30 years, yes, past your closure date. But we also have to have enough money laid away in the funds in order to do your cap and close it and everything like
I
that.
thought the EPA said 20, so why is the state at 30?
That's what she's saying in this new regulation.
Something they come up with.
Well, she said they was misreading the regulations. She's saying Dennis Degner used to be in charge of the financial assurance, and they thought he was misreading that regulation. So, our financial assurance for this is almost $1 million, $949,130, and in the trust fund we have $296,310. So that leaves a balance of $623, and we got about 12 years to go. So this is our choice, is to roughly pay $63,394 this year, or we go to this option 2, in which it's Cheyenne County, and I assume this has to be after we complete the audit, and I don't know how far they are along with that.
They'd be out sometime this month, he said.
Okay. And then they do this local government financial test, is what they call us. I'm sure that'd be cheaper, because basically saying that, and the main reason they pushed for this, too many landfills was operating 10 years ago, and then they went bankrupt, and KDHE had to pay to get it closed out.
And they want $1 million because if you have a cleanup to do, at $1 million, then the feds kick in. That way the state doesn't have to pay nothing. That's basically the bottom line.
Yeah. So, anyway, that's our choice, whether we want to try to do this audit study and see where we come out with it. I think it's worth looking at when you see that increase from 14,000 to 63, so.
Yeah, because that ain't generating that kind of money.
Well, I mean, we had some laid away, we was hoping for eventually
Yeah, but you're gonna
note or
need
something,
other
but
things for that.
not,
Not insurance.
but, you know, I wasn't planning on that at all, so. Yeah, that was a surprise.
If it's a state, nothing surprises me.
So you're saying we're gonna have to come up with how much?
Well, we was paying 14,500, but on your last page, it says, if we don't do that audit thing by November 6th, we have to come up with, I mean, you could, 63,394 is what it's gonna be for the year.
And that's annually, from now until the contract is up 12 years from now?
Yes,
That's a lot of money.
yep.
So, guess I'm being stupid. How are we supposed to come up with this money if we're under a tax lid?
Pretty good question.
And the state is demanding this.
Well, again, I
It
think our
just
best
doesn't make
option
sense.
is to wait till the audit's complete to see what,
It's over $500,000 over 12 years.
Well, and I'd like a copy of all of this. This is new to me. I haven't seen anything on this.
But it just aggravates me that here they come and we're under a tax lid.
And that's what,
And they're the ones that put it on us.
I agree, that's the reason I don't understand why they do that, and that's
It
what
just doesn't make sense.
Lisa Woody, you know, is the commissioner representative, and she was saying she had a phone conference, with a lot of them, says the regulations back east and here is just two different things, and that's the reason she said we need to work on something different on that, whether it pertains to this or what, but there's just a lot of problems that always arise between them.
I think that's the difference between them people that's running landfill for profit and these small
Yes.
landfills
Yep.
out here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it should be completely different, I think, for the smaller landfill, but,
Well, yeah, I mean, we can't compete with them people.
yeah.
That's what they want. They want them closed down.
I know they do.
And then you never did get this letter then?
What?
All this financial assurance? Okay, I thought you'd probably go ahead and get it, because it was sent to me, I can forward that on to you then,
Please
so.
do.
Okay,
I want to see all that.
and then we need to figure out where we're at with or when the auditors, or when they're
The
gonna
last I
finish.
talked to him, he said it'd probably be mid to late September, and that's the last
Okay.
I've heard from him.
Guess we're there, aren't we? Okay. Here's a SWAN meeting. Karen Smith asked if Byron was going to it. It's at Manhattan. I know we're in good standing with them. I'll let you guys make that call.
I never went to them.
Huh?
I never went to them.
Should have.
I suppose, but hell, if you spend 4 days for 2 drinks, that's kind of a waste of time.
There's good food down there, though.
About DJ going down there, I think it's good. But you might remind him that there's 105 counties, 11 days of state fair. We ought to have to go about once every 10 years.
Yeah, I
You
don't,
know what I mean? I mean, we're the furthest away.
Yeah.
And
and I
they say
don't,
they have a hard time finding people to man it. Well, we'll do our part, but that's all we're gonna do.
and I don't think
I mean,
anybody has went since Danny did,
Yeah,
so.
so
yeah.
it's probably our turn to go again.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Was Mo wanting to go to this thing?
I
Or
think
did he
he,
say? Or did he say, don't force me into it?
what's that?
I say, did he say, I want to go, or don't force me into it? What did he?
No, he'd be interested in going to it, so. Of course, he was a speaker a couple years at it, so. Anyway,
I'm fine.
When was it?
October 3rd through the 5th, he'd go down the 3rd, and come home the afternoon of the 5th, so.
I guess personally, I've got no problem with it as long as they come back with good, useful, workable information. Because we all know times change and rules change and
Tell him he can go if he comes back with $63,484.
If you figure out how to manage that. Okay.
well, and actually, joking aside, he might get down there and talk with other
There you
individuals
go.
that
What-
have found a better way or
And I'm sure
Can you-
they're going to discuss that because a lot of that, is in the regulations. Biter's going to be, talking about some of them
right.
permitting and things like that. So I think there's going to be some of that talk on that, so.
That makes sense.
Okay. Venture Corporation has approached us. They can't seem to get rid of them millings up there at that Highway 27 site. Want to know if we would make them an offer.
Do you have a plan or a purpose for them?
The difficult part would be this minus material, the fines. But we know we got to get into some chip sealing if we're going to save these asphalt roads. So we'd be looking at setting up a screener, separate some of them, in between size, and to be way cheaper
Then
than
use
buying
it for your
stone.
chip steel.
Yeah, and then blend the oversize and the smaller stuff together, so.
What's their proposal? What do they want?
They actually want us, they said, 2 ton, $20,000, $40,000.
Tell them to haul it off.
My thought is we ought to offer them half of that, or
Or less.
that's your guys' call. I said we'd discuss it and make them
The only
offer.
reason that you put a little patch of it out there that I drive, it's hard to maintain once you put it down. It's rough. It's a lot
Yeah,
worse than a
right
dirt
now.
road. I mean, that little 100 yards or whatever. So if we're gonna do that around the county, unless somehow you're gonna seal it, and we're talking a lot of money to seal.
Well, you gotta seal it and pack it, so.
Yeah, that might be the cheap stuff. Yeah, I mean, do you have a purpose for it?
Well, I mean, it's just
'Cause I
difficult.
wouldn't want to drive it.
It's just difficult getting material. You know, that's the other thing up here. So,
I do know the cemetery at Bird City doesn't like your plan coming in from the east. They want the other one done too.
why wouldn't they want
I
that?
don't know.
I was gonna say,
I told them to talk to you about it,
that'd be,
but I'm not in favor of it personally because of the washboards. But I mean, if there's some way you get it smooth, and of course everybody says, oh, Long Ridge is a lot better. But I've avoided it for the last year, so I wouldn't know.
okay.
I just seem to go over a mile one way or another to go south, so.
And eventually,
I mean, it probably is smoother if everybody does like I do and goes one way or the other and avoids it.
well, eventually, you know, the oil will wear out of it, and then it'd look, you know, you probably drive box road occasionally, you know, and it's almost
Yeah,
like a
this is pretty
stone. It
good
really
now,
works
but
well.
I mean, that's been, what, 5, 6
What do you-
years?
Yeah,
What are
probably.
you gonna do? Go out there and haul it all out and put it somewhere and then use it?
Well, we'll have about 6 months to do something with it and get it moved out of there. Because Mark wants to have it back March or April.
I wouldn't give them very dang much for it. They got a problem and they know it.
They do, but we've also got more material, you know, out of there that we'll be owing them too, so. That's really not,
How many yards is there left, you think?
they said 20,000.
How many yards do you haul?
How many yards have we hauled?
How many can you haul on those semis?
Oh, we'll haul 23 at a time. This is tons, not yards, so, yeah.
A lot of loads.
It's a lot of loads, yeah.
As long as, yeah.
A lot of fuel.
And I don't, like I said, I wouldn't want to drive it. I'm sorry, Dave. I wouldn't want, I mean, that's, I guess, I don't know what to tell you. I really don't. I just don't like it. We can't blade it. We can't do a darn thing with it. I know you said we have a hard time finding product.
Yeah.
I saw you shouldered the roads out here with it.
And which was the minus material, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm
Okay.
sure that helps. That's gonna stop some washing. That I like, you know. I haven't been down the Long Ridge Road lately.
It seems to be holding up pretty good, so. The trouble is, we just was too late in the game to start working it. We shouldn't really do a whole lot past October, you know, when you start laying and things like that. It just doesn't bind together very well.
How much material do you foresee you actually need?
He just called on the
Oh, okay,
buyer.
okay.
I mean, how much of this material can we practically use? All of it, some of it, half of it?
Well, eventually, well, we got to use it all if we take it, as far as
So
that
it's a
goes.
take-all situation.
Yes, and then we'll clean up the floor and everything. I know there's quite a little rock and stuff like that in the floor. We'd have to get it back to Farming State if we was to do this.
We gotta put that dirt back down and everything.
Yes.
We do?
If we was to take it, that's what they want us to do.
Oh, I wouldn't give them a dime for it then.
Okay, that's,
Make
What
them
are they
pay
gonna
us
do
to
with it?
clean it up.
I don't know.
Well, I say let's put the ball back in their court, ask a couple questions.
Okay.
What's your plan?
Yeah, ask them
What
what
are you
they're
gonna
gonna
do?
pay us to clean it up for them.
Because I know they had
Well-
to pay Mark for another year.
They're paid up to December.
Yeah.
And he said he'd let us go till March or April, you know, as long as we had it prepared and done, so.
How do we wind up with all that extra material? I mean, is that just an oversight on their part, or?
Well, I think there were just so many fines, and they thought maybe they'd be able to market them. Well, then he come up a couple of weeks ago, and I gave them the people that had some interest in it, you know, well, they want a load or two here in this yard, or a load here, you know, and not enough to really move it out, so.
They're gonna have to bring a loader up here and lay that dirt
Well, they
back
got
with blades.
they got the plant site out west here too, so.
Sounds like they
I-
want their cake and eat
You
it.
kinda act like you'd like to have it.
Well, I got mixed emotions. I mean, we're gonna have to come up, we're gonna pay quite little for chip rock to do asphalt sealing.
How many yards you gonna need there?
How many yards we're gonna do, to do that?
How many yards are you gonna need to do that?
I haven't figured out. But you put on, you know, 30,
200 ton, or 200 yard, 200,000 yards, or whatever. What's that?
yeah, you put on 30 pounds, you know, per square yard when you do your chip sealing. But we're also gonna get a cleaner rock and have to pay for trucking, and generally it's about $25 a ton to bring that stuff in, so.
I guess I'd like to see you have a plan,
Okay,
and it's gonna save us money. And, you know,
all right.
I don't wanna
That-
give them $10,000 and we can spend 10,000 cleaning the mess up.
Okay,
We're gonna have a lot of freight.
And the longer they got it, the cheaper it becomes.
okay.
Maybe, I guess, I don't
All right.
wanna,
Yeah,
I don't
I'll,
wanna throw it back in your court, but I just,
we'll see what they say, and then they'll maybe be a little more cooperative.
I think they will be,
So, all right,
especially if we're gonna clean the site up.
yeah. All right. I guess Myron just called, we just got over the $10,000 Hanson grant on the tires, so,
Good.
We went over,
over.
and I didn't get there.
So at this point, we'll see what the total is, and then we might have to we might have to reapply or something like that, is what Carol mentioned, so. But anyway, we're getting a lot of things cleaned up, it looks good, so.
I come up and bought a bridge plank from you yesterday. Hadn't been down through there for a long time, and that wasn't what I was doing. I was there for the bridge plank. It looks like we got a lot of old iron up there that, I know it's not worth anything right now, but do you want to get rid of a bunch of that? I mean, I
No.
saw some old mowers that look like they're 60 years old, and, or then,
Yeah. Some of
A
that
bunch of
is,
stuff.
that whole corner is, I
Yeah.
need to get, yeah,
and
scrapped out.
I'm not complaining about it. It just looks to me like, well, if we can generate a little money with it, let's get rid of it.
No.
Yeah, of
Do you
course,
think, or not?
the scrap metal price is kind of the tank right now, but, yeah, we
Probably
need to.
nobody will haul it off.
Yeah, they want it for nothing, so.
Well,
And, yeah, there's also, the sheriff has some vehicles down there that, but anyway, yeah. Okay, last thing I have is this,
Yes,
Right,
in
so-
I got a copy of your revised letter. There are just a few minor changes
Okay.
that I would like to make in regards to it. And it's just a matter of preference, so
Okay.
that it's a little more clear in regards to like what the damage was. It's kind of the way in which it reads. It says, has been knocked down that was recently installed by your farming operations. It's not real clear. So I just want to do a little tweaking in regards to some of the language in here, but otherwise it's looking good.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah, the first one I sent, we sent them out, you was probably on the board then, 20 years ago, and it was kind of blanket when we did that spraying, but,
Well, I think that this also needs to be like a case-by-case basis in regards to if there are issues, in regards to someone, like damaging county right-of-ways, and documenting the same. I also noticed that you had sent me a suggested public notice that could be put in the paper. I haven't had a real good chance to take a look at that.
Okay.
I don't know if you want to provide a copy of that to the commissioners so that maybe we can discuss that at the next meeting.
Okay.
After they've had the opportunity to review that. But I did take a look at your revised letter, and I believe that we're on the right track.
okay.
Okay.
Good. All right, I'll get some copies for you guys, and I think that's it, so,
Thank you, Jim.
all right.
Okay, do we have any other business before the board this morning? All right, we're
I
here.
move we adjourn.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye. I think it's our fastest meeting ever.
I love them.
Remember, Scott, after you get 3 people on the agenda, done. We can get
About
for
an
1
hour
hour
longer than I thought it would, but
I hate that when you think you're done and then you just keeps going and keeps going.
No, we
Blame
gotta
Cody
wait
for
one.
some of that. We've been here all the time.
dang.